After watching some videos online as to what new games you could find on Roblox, you find yourself within Blackhawk Rescue Mission 5. Loading in, you find yourself within the spawn room, eagerly walking around, spinning a little bit, before starting to move on to an area of which you see outside. You pull out your M16A2, your starter rifle. You pull out your M9, only to find it lagging out as you slowly move further on towards the vehicle bay. You find the tab menu, where you make the mistake of opening up the emotes menu, finding a particular emote to show respect and admiration to someone above your command, and realize you're stuck. You can't move. You can't jump. Without thinking, your only option is to reset. And so, you die. Respawning, you find yourself back in the spawn room. But this time, you get a little further. You find your way to the request vehicle station and find yourself with an empty garage. Eager to gain your first mode of transport, you find the SRTV, a Game Pass vehicle, but you do not know this. You trick out the vehicle and you go to make a purchase, only to find out it's a Game Pass worth 600 Robux. Frustrated, you leave the vehicle buying section and find the cheapest option, the 4x4, only for $150. You spend some time tricking it out, only to find that you can't afford it. So, you revert to stock. You pick up your vehicle, or purchase your vehicle, you request it, and boom, vehicle right in front of you. And it's very clear that you failed your driver's test at this point because before you even know it, kaboom, you've crashed. After pulling yourself out of the wreckage, you drive on a little bit, only to realize there's some vehicles past this bridge. Why spend money on your vehicle when you could just have some of these free ones? You mess around with some of these vehicles only to figure out that they're props. You stab it in frustration, and then move on to the APC. Same thing, except you're feeling a little extra bouncy. It's a new game after all. I would be excited too. You get back in your car, you drive a little bit forward, and find yourself at the passing point, where you could either go right, or you could go left, towards Ronograd. With new confidence, you drive left, only to find yourself in an ambush. A roadblock ahead blocks your way, and before you even realize, you're dead. Little did you know, you drove over a landmine, and now you're bleeding out on the floor. Realizing that there's no way to pick yourself up, you rage, you get angry, you punch something, and you hit your desk. Just before, here we go, leaving the game. This is how a lot of intros go, or at least a lot of beginnings go in Blackhawk Rescue Mission 5, at least for newer players. You load in, you try something out, you die. You quit, and then you never touch it again. However, it is my job here today to teach you how to be a proper operator in Ronograd. So sit down, strap in, and let's get her started. Where else to start but your loadout, huh? Go to your loadout, and then you're going to want to go to your primary weapon system. This is your M16. We're going to modify it a bit. Go to your top component accessory and grab the AR-15 scope. You have this for free, unlocked automatically. Then go down to your magazine and grab a 20-round magazine. This will make more sense later, besides making your weapon weigh a bit less. You're going to be stuck with this rifle for a little while you grind up some cash to get another one. But for now, we're going to make this one do. Later on, you're going to want to grab some tracer rounds for this thing, whenever you have the chance. But by that point, you might already have a new weapon, so I wouldn't count on it. Getting to customization, all of your apparel besides backpacks do nothing. It's all cosmetic. Well, except for another thing. We're going to want to go up to our helmet first, where we're going to install a night vision shroud. Install the free one that you have unlocked automatically, then put on the helmet mount assembly before putting on the ANPVS-7B. This is a really old pair of NVDs. So old that it's from the 1960s and extremely worn out. It's not the greatest, but trust me, it's better than nothing in the dark. Without further ado, let's get right into a private server and figure out controls. Now the controls are simple. 1 allows you to pull out your primary weapon, 2 will pull out your secondary weapon, and 3 pulls out your melee weapon, which, a bit of an advisory, you're not going to be using a lot. W lets you move forward, S will move you backward, A will move you to the left, and D will move you to the right. Reorient. Your scroll wheel will allow you to zoom in and out as needed. You're going to be using it a lot, so get used to it. C will let you crouch, which is very good at getting behind cover. Not to mention, reduces your visibility at the cost of speed. X allows you to go prone. Makes you really slow, but at the same time really hard to spot. This is crouch walking. You're going to be doing it a lot, especially when you're behind cover. It's also really good at getting around quietly. And by comparison, this is the walking speed. Base walking speed, that is. And this is prone speed. It's really slow, but you're practically invisible as long as you're in some grass. With basic movement covered, let's get running, which you're going to be doing a lot. Shift will let you sprint. Sprinting allows you to get to and from very quickly. Speaking of, let's get to the firing range. Or at least, this is going to be our firing range for today. Maybe in the future, we'll have a proper one. So pulling out your primary weapon, use your right mouse button to aim down sight, or our scope in this case. By comparison, this is how fast you aim the M9. And pressing right mouse button with your melee weapon does nothing. Pressing mouse 1 allows you to fire your weapon. Bear in mind that recoil is pretty bad, while V allows you to change your fire selector, as you can see in the bottom right. 3 bullets means full auto burst. It's pretty hard to control, so might as well use your time to get used to it. Recoil with scopes is especially bad. I would not advise it. Swap the semi-auto when you have to use a scope. It's still a lot less controllable, but it's a lot better. That was a recoil comparison, the 3-round burst compared to semi-auto. Crouching does not adjust recoil, unfortunately. Prone also does not adjust recoil. Speaking of, here's the M9's recoil. As a gun nut, I find this pretty offensive. Again, an example of crouching not doing anything in terms of recoil, and prone not doing anything in terms of recoil. Let's cover squads. This is your squad menu. You can create a squad from here, you can join public squads, and you can respond to squad invites using this menu. Going to create squad, you can manage it from the same place. Meanwhile, this is public squads. That's neutral, but for the time being, we're going to join orange. Why? Because we're a hazard. And remember when I said night vision was pretty bad? Well, this is a really good example. You can clearly tell that these goggles are very, very outdated. But hey, like I said, it's better than nothing. Let's go ahead and run all the way over to the vehicle bay, where we're going to use the armory to pick up some supplies, as well as refill our magazines. Nope, wrong turn. So over here is where we refill our magazines. Pressing F will allow you to reload all magazines in your inventory. However, it doesn't refill magazines that are within your gun. In order to get the most use out of it, reload your weapon after you refill magazines, do it again, and then refill again. This is the armory. This is where you're going to be grabbing all of your munitions. The special quirk about 20 round magazines is that it only takes up one slot, while every other magazine type takes up two. At least as far as I'm aware. This allows us to abuse the system and carry more magazines than we should be able to. And speaking of carrying stuff, the bag I mentioned earlier will allow you to carry more stuff, albeit it's smaller than your main inventory. These are the medical items. You're going to want to always have bandages and dressing, as those are free. Use a dressing before a bandage in order to regenerate 25 health instead of only 10. Though I wouldn't suggest carrying dressing as your main healing source, as they only heal 5. Let's go over the trunk real quick. Pulling out the Jeep, of which you saw from the intro, there's a trunk at the very back. This will allow you to move equipment to and from its inventory. As you can see, I pulled off my helmet. I would not suggest doing this. You can also put your weapon into the vehicle storage. However, I wouldn't suggest it, as there really isn't a point. There also isn't that much of a point of putting stuff in the trunk to begin with, as it's slow and cumbersome. And it doesn't make you faster by getting rid of items in your inventory. Now, what do you say we go for a quick test drive? I mean, we've already seen what this thing can do, yeah? But before we take off, let's go over the controls. By going into your tab menu, you can control the engine and the parking brake. However, a little bit of a bug means that you can't turn the engine back on if you turn it off from the tab menu. You have to close down the tab menu and then open it back up. From here, you can also control turrets. We're going to disable them for now, as this vehicle does have a secret turret. These are the lights. Epilepsy warning. The headlights are pretty bright, and their lens flare gets especially bad in the dark. You can also indicate, or you can use the hotkeys C, X, and Z to control the right hazards and left indicator. It's really only useful for RP purposes or trying to find your vehicle in the dark with the headlights off. Let's take it for a spin. W allows you to drive forward. S will act as reverse and brake, and A and D will allow you to turn left and right respectively. Space is the handbrake, and trying to do a handbrake turn usually results in loss of vehicle control. Now, for a quick example, this is how powerful the handbrake is when you have to come to a full stop. Not the greatest in my honest opinion, but could be worse. Here's another example of how fast you can lose control with a handbrake turn. Yeah, not fun, is it? This vehicle can also go off-road, and it's probably one of the better options when it comes down to it. I wouldn't advise going off-road with most vehicles, however, as doing so will eventually cause some damage due to the uneven terrain. Though this one tends to handle it well. A bit of a hint, if you see sparks flying out of your vehicle whenever you land, it probably took a bit of damage. Now, how about some revenge? You remember the guys that took us out earlier? I'm going to show you how we take them down pretty easy. First, you're going to want to stop before the checkpoint. I turned my hazards on here in the event that I have to find it in the dark. Something you're going to notice pretty quick is that they have a absurd spot range, but crouching down or getting prone in the grass will make them stop seeing you almost instantly. While you're from afar, try and get a headshot. It's usually an instant kill. However, for some reason, in this example, he survives the headshot, and we get spotted. Aiming for headshots and getting stealth kills allows you to get extra money, which we'll go over later. Enemies will also take cover whenever they can, trying to shoot you from through it. So watch out for that. But as long as you're prone and along the ground, they're going to have a hard time hitting you. Now, there's 2 more enemies here. Well, 3 if you don't count that guy, but we're going to take him out. Bang. Alright, pushing up, we're going to find 2 more guys. One's going to be right behind the rock, and I didn't realize it in the clip, but those white things that we see are enemies. Oh, and pressing your mouse wheel will allow you to go into combat stance, where using the mouse wheel will raise and lower your weapon. And there's a second guy, and kaboom! Checkpoint gone. Now, that's all we're going to cover for today. I wanted to thank you guys for watching this video. Maybe you'll come around for the next guide when it comes around, where we're going to talk about something else. Maybe we'll go over proper weapon customization, or maybe vehicles. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? But in all seriousness, thank you for watching this video and seeing it through to the end. This is my first time actually editing something altogether, and I'm still learning all the ropes. If you enjoyed it, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear your feedback on this. But for now, stay frosty, comrades. The storm is just approaching.